All right, Algebra 1, we're at Chapter 8, Section 4, Quadratics with Coefficients. So we have to understand what a coefficient is first. So we've been factoring things that look like x squared minus 8x plus 16, where we're going to take two sets of parentheses, fill with our x's, and then we need something that multiplies to get 16 but adds to get negative 8. And just to save some time, that's going to be negative 4 and negative 4. Okay. Now the difference with coefficients is there's going to be a number out in front of our x squared. So we might get something like 7x squared plus 29x plus 4. And the board's going to freak out a little bit. That's all right. So let's go ahead and take a look on a separate screen at 7x squared plus 29x. It's okay, I'll get it. And then I believe that was plus 4. So we're going to learn a new method for this, and it's called the box method. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create, obviously, a box. And it's going to look just like, as my board's going again, there we go. Okay, we're going to create just a 4-square box, basically. So just like this. And then our first step will be to move our first term into the top left box. Our second term is going to go into the bottom left box, and I'm going to go ahead and put plus 4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the 7 times the 4 and get 28. And over here on the right, just like we started factoring a few days ago, is we're going to find all the factors of 28. So we've got 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. And so now it's the same rules we had before. We need to pick 2 of those factors that are going to give us 29. Obviously it's going to be 1 and 28, and everything is positive. So what I'm going to do is put a plus 1x, and I'm going to put a plus 28x. Now, from this point, I need to find common factors of all of these terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go horizontally, and I'm going to look at the 7x squared and the x, and I find the greatest common factor between those two. That greatest common factor is just x. Then I go down below it to the 28x, positive 4, and I find the greatest common factor between that, and that's going to be positive 4. The reason it's positive is because this term is positive. So those signs will always be the same. Now I look vertically at 7x squared and 28x, and my greatest common factor is going to be 7x. And one more vertical, my greatest common factor between x and 4 is just 1. Again, it's a positive 1 because this sign and this sign will always be the exact same thing. So those are my factors. So I take 7x plus 1 and x plus 4. And that is my factored solution. Okay, if I were to FOIL method that, I would end up with 7x squared plus 29x plus 4. Okay, so let's take it a step further, and now we're going to factor this one, and we're also going to solve it. And usually, not usually, when it says equals 0, they're always going to ask for the solutions. Okay, so we're going to start the same way. We still create our 4-star or our 4-square box. Okay, our top left is going to be 3x squared. Our bottom left is going to be positive 20. So now I come over here, and I'm going to find factors after I multiply 20 times 3, factors of 60. Okay, there's going to be quite a few of these. So we've got 1 and 60. We have 2 and 30. We have 3 and 20. Okay, and I think we've been through this far enough where we can see that 3 and 20 are going to give us that 17, but we're going to keep going and we're going to put all the factors just in case, because sometimes there are 2 on the list that would actually give me the right answer, but I can't make them work with a positive or a negative sign. So we're going to keep going. This is going to be 4 and 15, and then 5 and 12, and I believe 6 and 10 is going to be our last one. So we're going to look at the 20 and the 3. And how can I combine 20 and 3 to get 17? Well, it would have to be 20 minus 3. So what's 20 times negative 3? That's going to give me a negative 60. So that's not going to help out. I need it to be positive. So just like I talked about before, maybe we have another one that works. Maybe the 5 and the 12. Okay? So if I had a negative 5x and a negative 12x, that negative 5 times negative 12 would give me my positive 60, and negative 5 plus negative 12 would give me my negative 17x. So this is a good example because it's actually got 2 that totals 17, but only one of them that's accurate. And so we do the same thing. Let's look horizontally. I've got 3x squared and negative 5x, so my greatest common factor is going to be x. I have negative 12x plus 20, so my greatest common factor is going to be a negative, let's see, that's going to be a negative 4. Now I go up to the top and I go vertical, and so I've got 3x squared and negative 12x, so the greatest common factor is going to be 3x. And then the greatest common factor between negative 5 and 20 is going to be negative 5. Again, these will always be the same sign. These will always be the same sign. So my factors are 3x minus 5 and x minus 4. To solve those, I'm going to tee them up and set them both equal to 0. I like this one as well because it looks like we're going to end up with a fraction here, and I get a lot of questions sometimes, well, can it be fractions? Of course it can be fractions. It can be whole numbers. It can be 0. In this case, we're going to add 5 to both sides. That gives me 3x equals 5. Divide by 3. And so your first solution is 5/3. Second one, obviously, just add 4 to the other side. And we get x equals 4. So my solutions are x equals 5/3 and x equals 4. Okay, so that's about 8 minutes, and that's Chapter 8, Section 4, Factoring Quadratics with Coefficients.